Hello, everyone. So, welcome back to another interesting and power-packed episode of Tea Talks Tuesday. And today we are here, and unfortunately, Dr. Janaki, ma'am, is unable to join us today. She has some family emergency, and she could not join us today. And I would be running the show today. And today we have a young and dynamic, and my senior and my good friend is here. Dhruvi is here. She's going to share her few points here. And before we start the session, I would like to introduce Dhruvi Rathod. Dhruvi Rathod is a clinical nutritionist by profession and a mindfulness coach by passion. She is the proud founder of the brand Step to Health based out of Bangalore. With over 15 years of experience, she has explored the field of nutrition in various setups from hospitals to corporate office and some leading brands in the industry. Having been worked with different sets of audience, she found her deeper connect with women's wellness and resonance with corporate wellness. This inspired her to deep dive more into these areas so that she can reach her mission of creating a happy health community. Knowing the fact individually we are a drop together, we can be an ocean. She has been open to collaboration and worked together with various colleges from the industry on different projects like Happy Gut program, Mission NutriCovin, to name a few. She is soon to launch a new program on mindfulness. She has designed some signature programs like the Happy Hormone Club, work from home to work from home to work for happiness, and conducted many health and wellness sessions, workshops, and group consultations for corporates from different sectors. Dhruvi believes in educating, empowering, and encouraging people to lead a happy and healthy life. While not at work, she enjoys traveling, food, and good music. So here is, I would like to welcome Dhruvi Rathod. And yeah, over to you, Dhruvi.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayuri, for the warm welcome. And I feel so privileged to be on this platform and share this platform with you. Though we are missing Dr. Janki, hopefully we see her soon in the next session. So today's session is something which is very, very close to me. This topic is something which is very close to me. And probably because we have just lived this journey, right? So here is the presentation for the day. And I am so glad to share this part of me with the audience. And I do know many of them are aware of bits and pieces of the journey that have been through, but I thought this is a very good platform for me to showcase and at least bring up few points of my learnings that I had in this entrepreneurship path. So basically, this is a journey from passion to purpose, and you will discover this as we go through. So how did it all start? Okay. So it all started as it starts for each one of us from our nutrition college. So yes, this is a pic of mine while I was in the nutrition college. Don't judge me by it. Okay. So I was this kind of a bubbly, cheerful, happy to go person while I was in my college days. And as every college student who is there uh, going through the nutrition college and the 3 to 5 years of journey that we have in the college, it is we live a kind of journey or we go through a kind of a journey while we are in the college. So the normal thought that a student would have in the college at that time would be a lot of excitement, a lot of wonder that how am I going to use these things? Because when you start exploring the subjects, when you start learning more about the subjects and you start seeing the connect with your own self. You start getting more connected with your own body. You know, okay, this is what is happening when I'm having this kind of food, or this is how it is broken down, this is how it is going to benefit me, how can I make it more interesting, and all those things. It actually pumps you up so much. But as the soda bottle, when the buzz goes high and you reach your internship, is when you know the reality of what it is. So as a part of the program or as part of the course, we are all ending up in different kind of internships. So my experience with internship was very different, and I feel most of you would resonate with it, because as you also go through the similar kind of journey, and many of you would have gone through your internships also. So the only thing that really struck me during the internship was a piece of paper. And I was so, I wouldn't say happy, I wouldn't say, like, it was a mixed feeling for me, that is this what we do over here in hospital, because that was a hospital internship. And with that piece of paper, you are roaming around, going to the patients, telling them. Some of them consume what you say, some of them do not consume what you say, some of them do not understand. And there are people who end up saying, I cannot afford even a bit of what you are saying. And there are people who probably would not prepare that kind of food at home. They don't know how to balance it. And that was like kind of a moment for me where I thought that, are we doing justice to our job, or this is what have we learned? And there were other aspects of the internship where we saw the dietitians doing counseling, or asking the patients how they feel when they are having the food. But frankly, just asking them about the food did not excite me a lot. And I felt that this work anybody can do. You don't need a dietitian to ask how is the food tasting. But yes, that was a part of the job, and we went through it. So we went through the internship completely. We saw the different aspects, the visits to the pantry, seeing the food prepared, tasting. So those were some things which I really enjoyed. Frankly, tasting was one of my favorite activities of the whole internship, I can say, because we used to taste all the different kind of foods. And yes, that actually gave us a sense of how the foods would vary for different people, or for the different conditions, and how it can really taste like. But in practicality, that did not excite me a lot. And somehow, with that same mixed feelings, I passed out. And while I finished my graduation, I did approach hospitals, because as a nutrition student, that's the only option that comes into your mind after you have completed your graduation. And you feel that it's the only option available to you where you can work. So I started sharing my resumes in a couple of hospitals and going through the interviews and clearing it. But somehow I wasn't convinced to join there as a nutritionist, as the first, uh, as a first thought, I would say. But meanwhile, I got an offer from an MNC, and that role was of a community nutritionist. And that was something I was like, okay, this is something exciting. Let me see what it is. And as a new, fresh graduate, you are so excited to get into something which is like, okay, out of the way kind of thing. Okay, no one is doing it, let me do it. So I was very happy with that. And when the profile that was explained to me is like, you have to go to different communities, you have to conduct sessions, you have to go to schools, you have to give health talks, and there were recipe standardizations and all of that. And I was like very happy. I was like, okay, good, let me try this thing. And I really jumped into it. I did that job. I was really happy. Over a period of time, I started getting bored. I was like, this has become so monotonous. Every time I go, I have to speak the same thing, and there is no difference. So there's no innovation into it. So, and that time we were like, as freshers, uh, that's the general mentality that you are not supposed to think. What is given to you, you do it. right? So as the protocols of the company you see, or they have certain standard SOPs that you have to follow. So based on that, whatever was said and we were doing, and we did not think, okay, this is something else and maybe we can try something else. So that kind of mindset wasn't there initially. After uh, maybe 1.5 year of time, I was offered another job, and this was about corporate nutrition. So being a corporate nutritionist, so this was something I thought, chalo, now I will have a new setup to work in, new set of crowd, different kind of challenges, and probably I will learn something new. And then when I started with the corporate sector, or when I was reaching out to different corporates through the organization where I was working for, and it was fascinating. I can say it was really fascinating because every organization has a different set of audience. Some people were working in night shifts, some people were working in call centers, some of them were in IT industries, and some were into manufacturing units or production units. And to see the different audiences and the kind of challenges they were facing, and not just with the presentation, so we even had opportunities to counsel them, to conduct group counseling sessions. That was something which I felt, okay, yes, I am making an impact in the society as a nutritionist. So I was like kind of very proud of what I was doing, and I felt, yes, I am leaving some mark in someone's life. So kind of satisfaction started seeping in with the kind of work I was doing. But again, boredom hits you. So after a certain time, and you feel, okay, this is enough, I need to really do something else. And I was offered a job in a hospital. And probably I felt at this time, maybe I am little prepared to accept this job. And because that was a very newly set up hospital, so they were just trying to set up the dietary. And I felt, yes, this is a challenge for me. Let me take this up. And setting up a dietary right from the start, the dietary unit. So this hospital did not have a dietary unit. So the food wasn't provided from the hospital. The patients used to get the food. So here, right from setting the pantry, hiring the cook, making a checklist for the utensils that had to come into the kitchen, and helping in making the standard SOPs for the next junior dietitians to come, or the list of things, maybe the diet charts that had to go, customizing them in the local language, all of that. So that was kind of fun for me. I really enjoyed doing it. But this time it wasn't boredom that struck me. So it was the big speed breaker that most of the females go through in their life, and that is your marriage. So I got married at that time, and very quickly I did conceive. And so that was a natural break into my career for maybe a year's time. But while I was pregnant and I was going through my pregnancy and my motherhood, so somehow I couldn't keep myself away from nutrition or from my work, I can say. So whenever I used to go to the gynec for my regular checkups and all, and I would see all the other mothers along with me going through the same journey, and me being a person who is very talkative, who cannot sit quiet, so I used to like punch upon them and talk to them and see what is happening. Are you going through this thing? I am feeling this, that, and all. I used to make friends with them. And kind of I slowly told them, okay, I'm a dietitian, in case if you need any help, you can reach out to me. And frankly, it wasn't for marketing, but I felt, yes, a person, a fellow person, or maybe someone who's going through the same journey, and I could empathize a lot with them because me being in the same place. So that was one thing which I felt that, yes, I can help them, or maybe I was enjoying doing it. So we had kind of groups, or maybe we used to meet up, and we know, okay, this weekend I'm coming, so we used to catch up on the next meeting to at the gynec. And slowly I even shared this to the gynecologist also, and I told her, ma'am, I'm a dietitian. So then she said, okay, if you are a dietitian, I'll refer my clients to you. And I was like, okay. But I told her, since I am pregnant, I cannot handle many. You just let me know how many, like maybe few I can take care of, because I need to take care of my own self, and I have taken a break from work. She's like, okay, fine, perfectly. I'll, as and when I feel someone is like in urgent need of that, I'll share it. So I started getting few referrals from the gynecologist. And once my son was born, that was like a proper break where I could not lift my head up at least for a year and think anything else apart from him. So he had occupied my whole world, I can say. And yes, those were like the memorable days of my life. I really cherish those initial few years of motherhood that I had with my son, and the kind of bonding that I had. And I do not regret taking a break from my career because I was investing in something that was worthwhile. And uh, as you said, that the divine has some sort of plan for you, the universe has some sort of plan for you. So when I was just going through my initial days of motherhood, that's when I was approached from a company where they wanted nutritionists and dietitians to work from home. And that came as a blessing in disguise to me. So I was like, okay, I'm not compromising on my roles and responsibilities as a mother, but yes, I am going to work. And that really pumped me like anything. And I felt, okay, let me do this. And this is probably uh, a kind of job that I really wanted to explore, because I had never done this balancing act before of working at the same time, taking care of the house, taking care of the kid. And that was going to be yet another challenge for me. And work started. I was kind of getting too busy with work and home. Frankly, I did not have good time for myself. And that was a huge regret, I can say. I felt that I was meeting all ends, but I was losing my own self. And but still, with the kind of work that was going and the way I performed, I was promoted in the same company, and I was happy with the promotion. I was like, okay, I am doing good. At least let me enjoy the success what I've got, and then let me think what I can do later. Meanwhile, I was offered another job, and that was to work in a brand. So basically, that's a personal brand. And there I was working as a clinical nutritionist. So I had to deal with all clinical clients. And that was again another fascinating area for me. I was like, yes, clinical clients, I really need to explore this, because being a clinical nutritionist and having studied all these things, so somewhere you have that, okay, at least let's taste what it is. And for almost a year, I even worked there. But after all these different experiences, so this almost took me 10 years, and that I have just put it in 5 to 10 minutes for you. Okay. So this whole journey actually kept tricking me every time I would have a job change. Every time I had a new thing to start up with, I observed one common pattern was, though I was doing different kind of jobs in each kind of offers that I had got, but after some days, I would get bored of it. And that was very alarming for me, that if this is going to be like this, then how many jobs can I change, right? And so I need a variety in my work, that was for sure. And secondly, I needed liberty to work the way I wanted. Because when I started my career, probably I did not have so many responsibilities on me, and I had all the time to devote to my work. But as life progressed, that devotion was actually becoming a burden for me. And that's when I thought it is time to go solo. And my journey into entrepreneurship started around maybe 2015, I can say, no, 2017 to be very precise. And this journey was, let me not tell you how it was, I will show you how it was. Okay. So what do you think? How does the solo journey look like? So I know many of us who are there on our platform, many of us are doing the solo practice. So I know you would know the challenges, or you would know the struggles of going solo. But as a nutrition student, who is watching this, I would really want to know your perspective or your thought after all that you have heard, and what you feel going solo would look like. So in case if we have any comments, Mayuri, can you please read out those?
I'm just checking, Dhruvi. As of now, no
Sure.
comments. 1 second,
Okay.
we have one comment. Going solo might seem easy as a thought, but can be really daunting. By Richa.
Yes, yes. So that was my next question. Was it easy? So generally, people think, okay, going solo, you do everything. You are the owner. You are your own boss. There's no one bossing around you. No one is governing terms to you. You can do whatever you want. But it is not that easy, because you can do whatever you want, but you have to do everything that everybody else also does, right? So you are the manager, you are your subordinate, you are your secretary, you are your designer. So you are the brand ambassador for your own brands, and you have to be there available for your business all the time. And it takes a lot of commitment and dedication. So, telling you the truth, yes, I did have lots of ups and downs in my whole journey. It wasn't a smooth journey to start with. And this journey came with its own set of struggles. So, what were the struggles? What were the challenges? So, basically, these challenges were something that we do not learn in a nutrition college. So, these are the skills that we need to manage a business. These are the skills that we need, like when you are negotiating with your clients, when you are connecting with your clients for the first time, doing a discovery call with them, taking their uh, diet summary, or maybe taking the dietary call. What kind of questions you need to ask them? How do you need to shape your counseling sessions? You need to know some basic things about marketing. You need to know some basic things about designing. Probably you would not be doing all these things on your own, but having knowledge as an entrepreneur is very important. And the worst part is the finances. I know we as dietitians do not love maths, but you have to put your head into it until unless you go through what is there or how your finances can be managed. It is very difficult for you to actually have a proper balance in your finances, the incoming and the outgoing, your expenditures and your the debt and the credit that you have. So it is very important for you, though you do not like it, you have to do it, at least till the time you are outsourcing it to a reliable source. So these were some of the challenges which I faced in terms of the business setup. So it was about, how do I brand myself? What do I do? Right? How will people know? How will people come to me? And telling you, when we started the online practice, the social media wasn't so much booming at that time as it is now, and all thanks to COVID. So we have lots of opportunities coming, lots of online options are there where you can showcase yourself, which wasn't there back when we started initially. And that was a challenge. Technology was a challenge, because learning technology at that time was like, because when you are practicing offline for quite long time, and then suddenly when you come online and you are trying to learn the new different apps that are there, like for example, this is a platform that we are using. So all these platforms, some of them existed, some of them did not exist. So learning all these things was indeed a challenge. The second challenge I can say was acquiring clients, because uh, God's grace, I can say, I had good contacts with a lot of the doctors whom I worked and the colleagues whom I worked before, and I was getting good amount of referrals through word of mouth. But after certain time, I felt that wasn't sufficient for me, because if I had to set up myself as a brand, I need to have a proper platform where I am reaching out to people and people are reaching out to me. So that's where I thought I need to work out and have a website of mine. So when all these things were coming up, these challenges were coming up, and I was overcoming these challenges, there were few lessons that I learned. So I would really want to share those key lessons that I learned in this journey that will actually help you understand how I overcame the challenges and what it left me with. So here are some of the key lessons that I learned from the challenges that I faced in the initial days of my solo practice. So the very first thing or the first lesson that I would really want to leave you with is keep learning and upgrading yourself. So this was one key area I can say that really helped me, or maybe I used this to overcome one of the biggest challenge of setting up my business. So I took up multiple courses where I got the sense of handling business, a few courses on designing, few courses on uh, making your own brand, having your brand name and all of that. So somewhere in the own niche that we do. So with all the practice that was happening over years and with the kind of people that I was meeting, I really felt that I was getting closer to something which I did not know what it was. So I started exploring different courses also. So on mothers, on child nutrition, and I picked up few courses that were related to female health and all of that. And I found that was very fascinating, or really I started developing more interest in that. And I kept learning. And if you see many of our senior dietitians, even after having very well established brands, they still never stop learning, right? So one of the best examples of whom I really look up to is Shiny. Shiny ma'am is one of them, and I really was so inspired to see her post few days back when she mentioned about one of the courses that she's doing about sports nutrition and trying to upgrade herself. And I was so inspired to see the way she is taking up, because she herself is a brand in everything, right? So and her interest towards sports nutrition, and she is trying to upscale herself every time. So I really look up to such people, and I feel yes, this is something we need to work upon. And this is one key message which I would want the students, especially the students who are looking out over here, to eye on. Okay, so while you are doing your nutrition graduation, or you're doing your post graduation, do not wait till you complete it and then you start working and then you explore what is your core interest. Start while you are studying. So see the subjects that interest you, explore different courses in that subject. There are many sites where you can get some free courses, or maybe where you pay some very basic amount and you can get some certificate courses done, so that you know whether you are interested in that field or no. And you have your niche or the target audience that you resonate more with, or you have the clarity with whom you want to work, rather than waiting like us for so many years and exploring everything and then coming to a place where you know, okay, this is what I really love doing, or this is what I really enjoy doing, right? So that is very important, and that leads us to our second learning, is finding your purpose. So the first step is what I told you, is to find your passion, see what you're passionate about, which is the area that really inspires you, or you feel, okay, this is something which I can really work upon, or this is something which excites me. Okay. Second step in finding your purpose is to see whether the world needs it. Do you have an audience for that service, what you're trying to offer? Maybe if you are good at research, right? So what kind of research you want to do? Check out the different research labs that are there. See whether there are opportunities for you, or there is a requirement where you can really go and deliver your services over there, or what is the niche that you want to work in, right? If there is a market. The third thing is you need to be very careful about is, are you paid for it, right? So yes, you can have passion, you can have mission. Maybe there is a need also for it, you are very enthusiastic to work on it, but are you getting paid or you are doing a free service, right? So I am not against free service, but keep it in mind, until unless you are true to yourself, until unless you are feeling worthy of what you are giving out, you will not give out 100%. So this is one key point that I would really want everyone to uh, hold with, and especially the children who are starting new, that please don't fall into the trap of giving free services in the initial days, because generally I did that mistake, let me tell you. Okay. So I would like, okay, let me serve some people for free and then I will get some paid clients and all. I never charged them, and I was somewhere friends, somewhere relatives and all of that. But I really felt lack of worth, or maybe I felt that I am not doing justice to myself. I am investing so much time in planning their meals, helping them out with the health goals and all, and I am not being compensated. So that was a kind of a void that was being created. And I would really say charge something, take some exchange, but do not offer it for free. Some sort of exchange. It can either be a testimonial, it can be a referral that you can ask, tell them, maybe I'll help you out, help me with some more clients who can pay for my services. But do it. Do something that you get paid for. And the last important thing in finding your purpose is do what you are great at. Okay. And you become great at it with practice. So here it is not just you do something uh, and you will be great at it at the first shot. Okay. So you have to practice. And if you need support in your practice, you can get it from all the seniors out there. If you feel that you need a platform where you can be guided, where you need some people to help you. So there are people out there who are looking out for interns or who are looking out for juniors who can actually support them in their business, and you can learn at the same time. So when you have all these four questions answered for you, you will surely find your purpose. And I do believe in this one fact that when you are driven by your purpose, there is no end to your journey. So your journey keeps going on and you enjoy, and that's when your work actually becomes play. So you enjoy doing what you're doing. So that leads us to our third learning is there is enough market for everyone. So do not get into this lack mindset, thinking that okay, if I am getting into the field, or maybe there are so many other nutritionists out there, how am I going to sustain in the market, or how am I going to make a mark in the market? There are so many people working with from so many years, or maybe they have loads of experience with them. But keep in mind, there is enough market for everyone. Just see the population of India and see the amount of dietitians and nutritionists we have currently. Okay, and one thing, if you have your purpose clear, if you have your niche clear, and you work on that, you excel in that, it really helps you to see. And many a times I get this query from most of the interns and the new students coming out of college, and saying if we are restricting ourselves just to one specific audience, maybe we will not have sufficient clients. And probably that was one of my thought also when I thought of working with women with hormonal issues. And I was like, maybe I should keep myself little flexible, let me see all whichever client comes. But then as I started niching down and I came down to this particular niche, and I saw there is huge market even for that. And I don't have to really worry about other nutritionists working on hormonal health, because I know what I am going to deliver to them is going to be different. What the other nutritionist is going to deliver to them is going to be different. And not everyone is going to resonate with me. So who get along with my idea of working will come to me for sure. Those who do not resonate with my idea, they'll go to the other nutritionist who they resonate with, and that's perfectly fine. So everyone has a market. So you are not losing on anything over here. So this brings me to my favorite of all of this is collaboration, and collaborate to innovate. So this, I would say, is kind of a life lesson, I can say, that is being embedded in me. And there are few things which I really observed after I collaborated with some of the other nutritionists, in some of the other fitness experts also, and some coaches, mind coaches and all. So when I started collaborating, so this, I just wanted to take it in continuation, like everyone is unique, right? So when you are collaborating, the kind of thought process what you have and the front person has is going to be different. And imagine two thoughtful minds coming together, it is going to blast into something very exciting, or something that is something very new, which not you have thought, nor the other person would have thought. And this really helps you to innovate and bring in newness into your practice, newness into the way you look at things. It opens your mind to different possibilities that are there, and you are not looking at everyone in terms of competition. So collaboration actually helps you to join hands and serve the bigger purpose. So here, when your passion turns into purpose, it helps you collaborate well with others, because you know, when you are doing things alone, it is only you who are doing it. But when you collaborate, you are widening your reach, and you are able to serve so many people, and that actually brings a lot of satisfaction to you in whatever you do. So I will mention about some of the collaborative projects which we had done. So one very, very recent one was Mission NutriCoven, where 8 nutritionists pan India came together to work towards the betterment, or to have a one-stop nutrition solution for COVID patients. And that was when the second wave hit very hard. And you won't believe the kind of impact it had and the kind of reach it had. We were spellbound to see how wide and large it went, and the way people were benefited out of it. Because, and if you ask me as an individual, I don't think I would have been able to reach even 1/10 of it if I would have done it solely. That is the power of collaboration. So these were some of my key learnings, and I have one last one to share with you, because that is not just in terms of your practice, but that is even a learning for life. So every experience that you have is a learning. So don't judge your experiences as success or failure. It is just a learning, and there is no failure. Okay, so, and it is perfectly fine if you do not achieve the results that you wanted to. It is okay to not have got what you thought, but still you get some lessons from it, you get some learnings from it, and those learnings are going to shape you into what you are. So these help you to be more open, to make more mistakes. Okay, so generally we are scared of mistakes, and right from childhood we have been told that you should not do mistakes. Okay, you have to be right all the time, but it is okay to make mistakes. We really need to have this shift in the mindset of people, that it is okay to make mistakes, it is okay to be wrong, it is okay to say no, it is okay to not be your 100%. No one is 100%. Give yourself a liberty to be wrong, give yourself a liberty to do things in a wrong way. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing is wrong, it's your way, right? If it is not your way, then it is a wrong way. So these were few of my personal learnings in this whole journey, I can say. And uh, yeah, so this is all the journey that I have been so far. So when I started my entrepreneur journey, the number of clients that I consulted were somewhere around 500 personally, which I have done. Success rate has been around 80 to 85%. Yes, I know I cannot make everyone happy, but yes, I tried my best. That is what I can do. And I'm really happy for whatever way I could reach to people and deliver and help them be more healthy. And on this whole journey, as I was trying to innovate my practice, I came up with different programs. Okay, so I run a program called as the Happy Hormone Club. That's specially for, it's an 8 weeks program that I run for women with hormonal issues, and it's a group program. And there is another program that's a 4 weeks, 4 weeks to a happy and healthier you. So that is basically yearly once we do that, and that's in the month of January, because that's the time when people are too much into the resolutions and making health goals and all of that. So we thought, let us tame them at that time and get them into the right track in the first month of the year itself, and we give them a proper base where they can follow things for the rest of the year. And there is another program that I run that is on that is specially for mothers. Okay, so that is for new moms especially. So that's a long elongated program, because as mothers we know what we go through and not every day is same. So it's a more flexible kind of a program. So it is like around a year's time that we do, and that is a little easygoing, a fun kind of program that I run personally. And in collaborations, I have actually worked with multiple nutritionists, where we formed a program on PCOS, a 6 weeks PCOS program, then 6 weeks Happy Gut program with Richa from, she's the founder of Nutrispect. Then Mission Nutricoven was one. And we are coming up with another program on mindfulness. Okay, so it is mindfulness inside out. So that is it's about to launch. We are going to launch it pretty soon. So these were some of the programs, some of the activities that I do, and this has been one of the biggest innovations I can say in my practice, because one-on-one, yes, I can reach in certain amount of clients, but in a group setup I can reach many more clients in the same time. So here your investment, your time investment that goes into really matters. After a certain period of time, you start becoming mindful of the time that you spend into your practice, so that it helps you balance your life also. So this was all about my journey. And I know I would have exceeded my time, but in case
Not really, Dhruvi. We were enjoying the session actually.
thank you.
It was awesome, great, and
Thank
yeah,
you. It's time to hear from you all.
yes. So it was, your journey was wonderful, wonderful journey, Dhruvi. I mean, right from the college days, and I remember the pic that you have put up there.
Yes,
We went on
yes.
a trip, right?
Yes, so that was one of our college trips that we
Trips,
had been on, and
right?
the most memorable
But
trip of life, actually.
very true. So right from there, right from college times, what I've seen Dhruvi is just the same Dhruvi. There is no change.
Compliment.
And what a journey you are, what a journey. Awesome. Many key takeaways, especially, the for the freshers or the upcoming nutritionists, you said that I didn't, work right from you study. That is like very important key takeaway. I mean, we had no one to guide us at that point of time,
Exactly,
and we took this long years to come
exactly.
this state. And
Yes,
very, very important takeaways, and collaboration, or collaborative work, all those things which you have said is like, very much resonating and connecting with our what we are doing it now.
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So Richa Srivastava is asking, how did you acquire the IT and the designing skills?
Okay. So in regards to the IT skills, I took up a few courses from some of the business mentors. And the designing skills, I had taken up a course. So basically that is run by Team NEP. So there's a special course on designing. So that is where I had taken up a course. Yeah.
Okay, great. So on Facebook, Simi says, Dhruvi, excellent presentation and the lessons you shared. I'll love for you again. Priyanka Singh also says, awesome session. So it's more of congratulating messages on Facebook again. So here I would like to ask you one more thing, like, as you as your journey was, going on right from the beginning, from the college, then multiple, and like how it was, like the transition between each and every job, how it was. Of course you were sharing, but still I just
Yes.
wanted to know a little deeper into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Every now and then you were changing the job, right?
Job. Yes, and the job profile changed each
Changes,
time.
right? That's true. How did you manage that? And what are the challenges? In the transition period has many challenges, I can
100%.
know. So
Yes.
how did you manage all those things, and how it was?
Yeah. So basically, the transition is difficult when you don't want it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
when you're willingly jumping into it, though it is a tough thing, you will do it.
Right.
So that was one of the things, because I was really wanting to change or maybe want to explore something. But yes, I won't say it was easy initially. Starting till the time that madness is there, you are enjoying it, you're doing it, and when that settles down, okay, and when you know, okay, this is getting to my nerves and I am like kind of when the pressure starts building up, no? So those are the times when you feel, okay, no, it is getting harder. And frankly, I have been blessed with good colleagues, so that has been a very, very big asset for me. And God's grace, I make friends everywhere I go, so I
That is
have
very
lots
true.
of friends. So almost all of my colleagues turned into friends, so that was one good thing. uh, and yes, there were days where I couldn't take the pressure, okay, so there have been days where I could not, especially when I came down from Hyderabad to Bangalore, and that was the initial 6 months, I should say. I really struggled a lot because I did not know the local language, and
Right.
being in a hospital sector, and even the normal communications also used to be very difficult for me. So I used to take a pen, paper, write down everything in English, but when you read it, it is Kannada, and I used to
Okay.
like ratify everything and then go and counsel the patients. And I used to like talk to them, and I would take one of my friend with me, and it's like, whatever she's saying, you translate it back to me and tell me what I have to reply. So it took 6 months of time for me to learn Kannada, but yes, I learned, and that helped me. And transitioning to the different work profile, I would say, so there has been one thing which is uh, it was that at least I was aware of what I'm going to do,
Okay.
and the kind of managers or the kind of people under whom I worked, the mentors who were there, so they really helped me go through it. And in none of the organizations I had issues with my seniors or anyone, so I always had a helping hand. And the training part, and other thing was, I was always a self learner, okay, so I never wanted to wait for someone to come and teach me. So if I had a doubt, I would really like go ask them, boss, this is my doubt, help me out of it. And that is one way I feel I was benefited, because I was okay asking help and saying that I don't know. I was okay
Okay.
saying that I don't know. So many a times we feel shy that saying I don't know how, what will the other person think of me. So initial days I had that hesitation, but then I saw, okay, I am being on the losing end. Let me better open my mouth and ask. So things get sorted, and at least you're out of it, you know. So when you have
Right.
opened up and you spoke to someone about it, you're out of that stress and you have expressed it somewhere.
Very true.
These things helped
It's
me.
okay to say that I don't know, right? Yeah,
Yes.
many freshers and many, the upcoming generations, they feel, I mean, they're, I don't know what is something that holds them or what it is, but they don't want to say that, they don't want to use that word.
Exactly.
But I think, as you said, like when we say that, it's much relaxed, and we are much stress relieved.
Yes.
And by saying that, we get to learn the things.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
if the other person who is knowledgeable, obviously we learn from them, right? When
Yes.
we say that we don't know,
You don't know.
if you say
Exactly.
that we know, okay, they'll just assign you the work and they'll go away.
Go. Exactly. And you're on the losing end
Yeah,
because you
that's
don't learn and you struggle through it.
very true. An important takeaway actually for the freshers and upcoming nutritionists. Richa Srivastava has raised her hand. Yes, Richa,
Yeah.
you can ask your question.
Hi, Dhruvi. Hi,
Hi,
Mayuri. First of
Richa.
all,
Hi.
I just want to congratulate you. What a beautiful presentation. And it kind of was, I can say, very nostalgic for me also. because it brought back memories from my journey as well. So
Yes.
I very much resonate with whatever takeaways you have pointed out, and they are really very strong ones. And probably Mayuri is very right in saying that, as students, we did not have that much of guidance
Yes.
to all the kind of guidance that we have today. So I think the current generation should definitely make use of all the guidance available. One question that I want to ask you, Dhruvi, is that we are in a field, and of course, when we were working out there, we were working in an era where a dietitian working in a hospital was considered to be someone superior or the best dietitian out there, right? So how did you went ahead to decide that you will not be working as a hospital dietitian anymore and would be going out and working as an entrepreneur? How easy or how difficult was it for you to project yourself as a good dietitian in the space out there?
Yes, yes. Thank you for the question, Richa. And frankly, for me, I never enjoyed the hospital work. Okay, because no offense to all the hospital dietitians, I know you are doing a great job, and it is something that we need, because if you guys are not there, our patients are really going to have a tough time, and you play a very huge role in the recovery. So all due respect to you, but that was my thing. I never enjoyed so much. So that was one thing. And secondly, what I felt, the reach that I have as a hospital dietitian wasn't enough for me to live my purpose, or to live my passion, or to achieve my mission that I have in life. Okay, so I always had a mission where at least I should be reaching certain amount of people, or maybe I should be touching, there has to be a bit of me in everyone's life. So that was my childhood dream. When I was a small kid, I used to feel everyone should have a taste of my presence in their life some way or the other. So that would really pump me, as like, if I am doing this, am I going to achieve it or no? So everything that I did, not just even the practice, the kind of activities that I do, or maybe the kind of people that I'm meeting, so I really feel that at least they should have one good memory about me when they are leaving, or whenever they think of me, at least. So it's not that I don't have any bad memories with people. I do have. But that is one thing. And probably it's the reach that I felt that really put me out and helped me. And second thing was the liberty. Okay, so because I was really I used to feel stuck working in different organizations. After a certain period of time, I felt that probably I am not utilizing all the potential that I have, or maybe I am restricting myself, or I am not spreading my wings as I should be. And that would really put me out, and is like, no, let me do things on my own, so I may have a liberty of saying no to some things and doing some things that I like more. So that liberty is going to be there. And some days when I don't want to work, I can take leave without asking for a permission that I don't want to work today.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, pros and cons of work.
Working solo.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely true. That is very true. I think that's a wonderful thought that you wanted a bit of you in everyone's life. So that was your purpose. So similarly, probably we can design our purpose and work towards it. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shruti.
Thank you.
And so selfish, na? Bit of you and everyone.
Yeah.
On a lighter
I know.
note. That,
That's what we are made for.
very true. I mean, that's why you are, you are at this position right now. And I have, I mean, of course, you are explaining like how collaboration works and how it helps. But I wanted to know your experience as you were working with Mission Nutrico, and of course, it's a huge success. I've gone through, I've been seeing that, and you are with 8 nutritionists over there. Like, how was your experience? How it was, and even with the other programs which you are mentioning, where you are collaborating and you're doing. Just let audience know like how it was.
So let me share few of my experiences and few of the learnings also, okay? Because there are few, 2, 3 things which I feel is important when you're trying to collaborate with someone. So experiences, yes, we had both good and bad. learnings are there. So again, I refrain myself from saying it bad. I would say learnings more, because we had a lot of experiences coming out. And one thing is here again, which is very important for me when it comes to collaboration, is why are you collaborating? What is the purpose behind it? If you have a deeper purpose for which you are collaborating, rest all will nullify.
Very true.
Your differences, your opinions, your egos, your respect, your self-esteem, everything will go zero when your purpose is higher. So that is something which is very, very important. So you have a larger mission to work at, and you know, at this point, maybe my mission is more important than whatever I am feeling or whatever I'm going through. Or maybe you're not liking the work you're doing, but still you're doing it for a mission, right? So you have that kind of push always there within you, which is making you do things. And it is not that you will not have any sort of differences or difference of opinion. It is going to be there, but you learn through it. You learn respecting other people's opinions. You learn seeing things from their perspective. You know, that is the
Right.
beauty of collaboration, because when you see, we always see it from one direction, but when you are looking from the other person, you see the other side of it,
Very true.
right? So that really helps you to broaden your mindset, and you learn, you fight, you come together, you cry, you hug each other, and then again you're back to the same team and you start working forward. So that's how we are meant, right? Like as children also, how we used to be, we used to fight with each other, and again end of the day we play with the same person.
Very
So
true.
that's the same lessons for life. So there is uh, nothing out of the way, but yes, to be mindful of it, that really helps us to make more informed decisions.
In fact, fighting is good. Another side, I mean, another side, if you see, it's good. No,
Yeah,
we'll get to learn to know about the person, and we get our own learnings out of it.
learnings also.
Actually, I mean, of course, again, not to say fight, but learnings.
Putting your things forward, I can
Yeah,
say.
yeah, very true. So, I mean, the entire session is, was great, and you were giving all your key takeaways. But still, I want this one
Yes.
piece of advice that you
Yeah.
want to give for the upcoming nutritionists or upcoming freshers, juniors, or whoever is, getting into the nutrition,
Yeah.
want to take nutrition as a career thing.
Yeah.
One piece of advice that you want to give.
Start early and fail faster.
Wow.
Okay. So because we took so many years to learn through it. So now you have live examples right in front of you doing the mistakes. Be a smart learner. Learn from their mistakes. Don't repeat them. Make new mistakes instead, and learn through it. And it is okay to make mistakes. Okay. So start exploring things from the beginning. So this is one really very nice thought which I had last night, was as I was just telling through the talk also. So whichever subject interests you the most in your curriculum, start exploring courses in that. Go for it, study more about it, and see whether you are really liking it, or is it just for the time being that you are enjoying, or maybe it is just like you have a crush on it, or are you in love with it. So you will come to know when you deep dive into it. So start learning more and like exploring new things. That will really help you a lot in knowing what is your interest from the very beginning. And in case if you are clueless, please opt for internships. Go and work with people who are in the field, who are doing, and you have many different internships available, or even you have uh, observatory this thing internships also, where you are just observing the person, how they are working, what they are doing, and taking down their notes.
Oh,
So those things are also available. So just explore what different kind of internships are available, and during your vacations you can make use of that. So till the time you pass out, you are actually gaining some experience, and you are not coming out blank and you don't know what to do. So you have some idea what are you going to do after your degree is complete, or after your studies are done. You have some clarity in your mind what you want to do further. Just
great.
start fast.
Great, great. I hope all the upcoming nutritionists and freshers, you are listening these few piece of words. Uh, as you know, as we have suffered, we don't want you to suffer. Learn from our mistakes. Very much needed. And yes, Richa, I would love to dedicate this to NutriCovin, the entire session. Yes, of course, I would love to dedicate this to Mission NutriCovin. Many learnings, and of course, you all had many memories with that, and
Yeah.
it had a huge impact. I've seen the impact actually. Yeah, and thank you so much, Dhruvi, for taking time from your busy schedule and coming here and giving such a wonderful session to all our upcoming nutritionists and giving them away and very important key takeaways from this session. And I thank you from my bottom of my heart for giving this session on Tea Talks Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It was a wonderful time spent. A fruitful evening, I can say. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you all. See you next Tuesday, same time, same place. Bye for today. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. I'm ending the session, Groovy.